Check. Check. All right. Hey, what's up, man? Can you hear me? Okay, so I just can't hear you then, I guess. I know if you go to your preferences under audio, there's a spot where you can choose your mic. But yeah, I can't hear you yet. Yeah, it's under, I'll do it myself, settings, and then audio. And there's, it says microphone. So you'll want to choose, I'm actually not sure what it'll say on your end. Probably like iPhone, or if you're using your webcam, that it'll list your webcam. Let's see if I can share my screen here. Not sure if you can see my screen, but it's right here, audio and then microphone. Oh, I see you. Are you using a webcam? It's weird. It's not showing my Zoom settings, but yeah, it's under audio and microphone. Yeah, I can. Can you hear me? Maybe we might have to try the phone. But
If I die tomorrow with everything I love and some, hold my name up high. Take
could you hear that? Oh, I see connecting to audio.
Okay.
Oh, I hear you. I hear you. Can you hear me?
Settings, test speakers. Okay, go to settings. Try it again.
Can you hear me now?
Yep. Can you hear me?
No. Trying to change the settings. Like he sent me a thing to try microphone. Change your microphone device. It's on. Webcam. That's what he sent me to like go on the settings. Open settings. Okay, I'll go back. Okay. Here. Right here. Audio settings. Okay. Okay. Okay, I can hear it. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
All right. Nice. Nice.
Sorry, man. I was having my girlfriend help me. We're trying to figure it out.
No worries. Yeah, this Zoom is always a pain, man.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So we got that. Let me check, see, make sure you can hear Pro Tools.
if I die tomorrow with
Yeah.
everything I love.
Yeah. All right. Nice. So I think we're ready.
Okay. Cool, man. Sorry about that.
Oh, no worries. I'm gonna see it.
I could probably just close chat now. Or wait. Are you there still?
Okay, you can only hear me.
Oh, yeah, it like muted or something.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I was gonna see if I could mute it so I wouldn't hear myself. But
Oh,
no, it's
okay.
fine. It's fine.
Oh, okay.
Um, okay, cool. So I'm gonna close the chat. All right, so I got everything routed to the mix bus, and I figure we just kind of start from scratch,
Okay.
and just kind of see where we would start like that. So first thing, I'm gonna check out the beat here.
If I die tomorrow with everything I love and some, hold my name up high. Take care of my kids and everyone I love.
I'm gonna turn that way down. A, so it won't clip, and then B, so it gives us a little more headroom for the vocals. So
question.
there were a few things that I was missing, but I figured it'd be best to just kind of take them all off. And I kind of show you how we do it, even, like I said, kind of starting from scratch. So
Okay.
I'll put these all up here, and then I'm
Yeah,
gonna,
I was just like experimenting. Like, I mean, some of
right,
them like I use all the time, and some of them I don't. So
got it. So I noticed, yeah, there was some EQing on here. Looks like kind of low and then boosting a lot of other stuff. Um, but or did you have any questions before we started?
oh no, I'm just
Okay, cool.
if you like I'm not sure like how you're gonna go about it yet, but I'm just saying if you have to like try other plugins, that's totally fine. Like we don't have
Gotcha.
to
Yeah,
like
I
go
figured.
off these ones, you know. Whatever
Yeah.
like you prefer.
I know you say you have Fab Filter. Do you got the Pro Q?
Yeah, that's the one I mostly like try to
Okay,
use.
sweet. Yeah, because I want to use things that I know you have, because
Okay.
afterwards I'll send you this session, so you can kind of have everything that we did here and play with it and stuff like that.
Okay.
Um, so I'm just going to solo this right here. Oh, that's the hook. I guess we'll just start right here. I'll just mute this straight to the mix bus and bypass that other bus.
Okay.
Here we go.
If I die tomorrow with everything I love and some, hold my name up high. Take care of my kids and everyone I love. Something to remember me by, yeah. Something to remember me by. Something to remember me by. Something to remember me by, yeah.
So that's not too bad off stop for the recording. Do you have Isotope RX by chance?
I don't.
Looks like this. Okay, gotcha. It's kind of helpful sometimes if you're recording in an environment that
Hmm.
it's not like the best acoustics.
Yeah.
You kind of do something like that. I'll just show
Oh,
you.
okay. I should.
Put that like 10.
It's what is it called again?
It's called RX.
Okay.
So I'll undo it now and see if you can kind of hear the room reflections going around.
If I die tomorrow with everything I love
Yeah.
and some, hold my name up high. Take care of my kids and everyone I love.
So it'll kind of get rid of a little bit of that reverb and reflections and stuff. No big deal. You don't need it. It just kind of helps to get some of that stuff out of there.
Okay. And
So
that's
I'm just gonna go ahead.
that's just like on their website or whatever. Like.
Yeah, I'm sure
Okay.
it's on there under like products or anything. Again, you don't need it. It just helps to kind of clean up some audio. And if there's
Yeah.
like pops and clicks, mouth clicking, it has like a de-esser and just some things like that that help essentially just clean up audio.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll kind of show you how I'd EQ this right off the bat because it didn't have much low end. A lot of times there's more information down here,
Mhm.
but we'll just kind of work with what we got
If I
here
die tomorrow.
because it looks like it was compressed already, possibly by the just kind of looking at the waveform.
Yeah, because I have the UAD, so like I just use like the regular templates it comes with. I have the Apollo Twin.
Okay, nice. Good interface. If I could suggest something when recording, just try to lay off the compression as much as possible,
Okay.
and maybe just kind of set it to where it's not like it's not pegging at all, and then just hit the very very loudest parts. It might clip just a little, maybe a DD or two off like there.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you can hear yourself talking too, but because of the delay, it throws me off a little bit.
Oh,
Like when
Uh-uh.
you, oh, you don't hear yourself delaying in the
Uh-uh.
headphones?
I can't
Oh
even
well.
hear myself at all.
Oh, I wish I could do that. But when I mute my, and then you can't hear me. So, uh, yeah, maybe
There's
I'll just turn
there's
it down a little bit.
there's no way to fix that either in there.
Yeah, I wish, but to do it through Pro Tools, I basically have my webcam microphone as an input, and then it sends it out to Zoom. But can you
Oh,
still hear me all right?
oh yeah, I hear everything perfect.
Okay, good, good. I'll just turn it down so I won't hear it as much.
Okay.
Take that off. All right, so yeah, general EQ, I'm looking for like cleanup kind of. Um, and yeah, like I said, if you kind of lay off the compression at the beginning, like while you're recording, so it gives
Yeah.
you a lot more room to work with during the mix. Um, so that's probably why we're kind of limited on some of the information, but I'll just kind of do it through here. I'm gonna kind of loop that part here. There we go.
If I die tomorrow with everything I love and some, hold my name up high. Take care of my kids and everyone I love, something to remember me by, yeah.
So yeah, it sounds like you did some stuff off the during the recording and printed it in. Um, but a few things that I'm hearing is maybe a tiny bit of boom at the lower range, then maybe a tiny bit of like nasalness.
Mm-hmm.
So what I would do to try to find the sweet spot in those frequencies
If I die
is
tomorrow with everything I love and some, hold my name up high.
you kind of hear where it's kind of there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I'd look for something like that, and then you can find it on ProQ is perfect because just hit the headphones and it'll isolate the frequency. So I'll boost it high to where I can hear it, and then I'll look to cut it. So we got the frequency around there.
If I die tomorrow with everything I love and some, hold my name up high. Take
Got it. And then somewhere in kind of that boxiness, gonna look
If
around
I die
here.
tomorrow with everything I love and some, hold my name. Me,
Kind of hear like the resonance frequency there.
Yeah.
Um, so we kind of look for that.
if I die tomorrow with everything I love and some, hold my name up high.
Nice. And you usually don't need to have these big giant cuts either. Usually like between 1-3 decibels is
Yeah.
probably where you're looking because you don't want
Like
to like
in
butcher the
between there.
vocal. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly, exactly.
Okay.
So we got those,
If I
and
die
then
And
tomorrow
does
with
it
everything.
vary like session to session? Like could it be is it always in that range where you're
um, you can find it in that range, but the exact frequency will be different for every vocal. It could even be the
yeah.
same vocalist, but have different frequencies
Yeah.
depending on how they're singing and where they're at.
Okay.
So it's not really like a template thing to where you can just cut the same frequency every time, because
Mm-hmm.
you might end up cutting frequencies that are good, and then that essentially will boost frequencies that you don't want in there.
Yeah.
So it's definitely different every time. You just kind of got to listen for it. But in terms of like, say, boominess, that'll be, in that, 200-300, something like that. Boxiness is usually like, 350, 650, something like that.
Okay.
Nasal, like if it sounds a little bit like that, um,
Yeah.
it'll, that's usually around like 6, 7, 8, 9, something like that. Again,
Okay.
it varies, but those type of sounds are usually within the same rough type of frequency range. So if you hear
Okay.
it like particularly boxy or something like that last one, you'll usually find it in the 500 range, give or take a bit. Um, Same with if we can find a little bit of.
If I die tomorrow.
I thought I heard some nasal type of
If I
stuff.
die tomorrow with everything I love and some, hold my name up high. Take care of
Yeah, probably about
some.
there. And also, it'll sound kind of like resonating frequencies,
Yeah.
to where you just kind of hear like a little bit of ringing or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
that you'd want to cut those too. So
If I die tomorrow with everything I love and some, hold my name up high. Take care of my kids and everyone I love. Something to remember me by, yeah. Something to remember me by.
So something like that, yeah. And I'm not really seeing too many problems off the top
If I
end.
die tomorrow with everything I love and some, hold my name up high. Take care of my kids and everyone I love. Something to remember me by,
Oh,
yeah.
how'd you do that?
With Pro Q, if you just sort of hover down here and let it
Yeah.
sit for a little while, it'll kind of give you some of the like the higher ones, like the peaking ranges. And that
Okay.
helps just to give you an
That's
idea
cool.
too of what's going on. Like if there's something really sticking up,
Yeah.
it may not necessarily mean that you have to cut it, but
Yeah.
it could give you a hint of where some problem frequencies might be.
Yeah.
So I kind of wanted to check out this 1.5 range. So if you just, I don't know, do you use a Mac or PC?
PC.
PC, got it. So I think that'll be Command and then click, and that'll put you right around where that is. And usually I like to kind of get it, because if you have it way open, it's going to just kind of play a very large frequency range. So to kind of narrow it down, you just turn this Q up a little bit. So it'll
Okay.
kind of give you a little more precise of what's going on. So we'll go.
What
If I
does
die tomorrow.
the headphone thing do again? The
The headphone
speaker?
will isolate the frequency that this is focused
Oh,
on.
that you're only hearing that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So I'll play it for regular, just with nothing, and then I'll hit the headphone, and then you'll hear it go just to this like 1.5 region.
If I
Okay.
die tomorrow with the hold my name up high. Take care.
Yeah, so right around that ring, I'm just gonna take a tiny bit out.
If I die tomorrow with everything I love and some, hold my name up high. Take care of my kids and everyone I.
All right, and I think we're good right now. Once we start boosting any EQs or compressing, we may want to counteract certain things, especially in like this harsh range. We may want to go back, but for right now, I'm gonna leave it right there, and then we'll just do a de-esser. I think you use this one, so we'll just use that same one from, I think that's a Waves.
So would that be like a particular order with like starting with the
Yeah,
EQ?
yeah, typically the first thing that I'll do before anything else is I'll do corrective EQs, which is where you're trying to, if you hear problem areas, then you want to cut those out, because when you compress, that's going to bring things up. So you don't want to bring up things that are going to make it sound worse. You want to cut that beforehand and get all the corrective stuff kind of taken care of to give you a sort of clean palette.
Okay.
Every once in a while you get lucky and you get like a perfect recording where there's just no resonant frequencies, no buildups or deficiencies or anything. But usually you might have to go in and correct a few things before you really get in there.
Okay.
So yeah, I do that first and then go on to de-essing, which I saw was kind of the first thing you had in there too.
Hmm.
So, and I'm not sure if if your recording template had an EQ also. It kind of seemed like it did. Because I noticed it seemed like it had some lows rolled off. Usually I would do that with the corrective too, but it seemed like
Yeah.
that had already kind of been cut. Um,
Mhm.
so
When
yeah, with the recording, I'm sorry.
like when I record too,
Uh,
like you know how it has it like in Apollo, it has like that roll off option for the mic in there
right.
in the
Yeah.
pre. So like I in my like probably around this time or before like my earlier songs, I used that a lot. I didn't know
Right.
the difference really. I just like but like recently I turned it off. So like I don't know, I'm just like testing it out too. I don't know
Gotcha.
if I should be using that or not.
Yeah, I prefer it off usually. The main thing that is good for, if there happens to be some like rumble in the room, like let's say there's an air conditioner on in like 20 hertz to where you can't really hear it, but it's
Mhm.
there. Like that's really good for that to cut out those super low like boom type of frequencies.
Yeah.
But typically you're better off without it. And if it does have the
Okay.
option, just keep it super low, like 20 hertz and down or something like that.
Okay.
If it does give you the option.
Hmm.
But yeah, a lot of times, especially if it's rolling off like 50 and stuff like that, you're probably best keeping that in there and then rolling it off with an EQ after. So that way you can adjust how much you want and how much you don't want.
Okay.
Because some of those low frequencies in the voice are good because that's what kind of give it that meat in the girth or something, especially for
Yeah.
like a male singer.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'm gonna check out this de-esser and see if we got anything
If I
there.
die tomorrow with everything I love and some, hold my name up high.
So you can kind of hear it bogging the vocal down a little bit when the de-esser kicks in. So I'm gonna raise that up and maybe kind of adjust the frequency. And this also has this microphone thing or that speaker thing. I think that'll also kind of let you isolate what you're doing too. All right, so I'm looking to basically just cut off the high, like the S's, T's, things like that, and I don't really want it to cut anything else on like just the regular vocal. I'm really just looking for it to cut the S's, T's, and those sort of annoying like tss and tss, like those type of things. So now I'm gonna raise the threshold up to where it's only catching those things.
Everything I love and some, hold my name up high. Take care of my kids and everyone I love. Something to remember me by, yeah. Something to remember me by. Something to remember me by. Something to remember me by, yeah.
Something like that. So only on those harsh S's, you'll see the line go down, but everything else that he's singing, it shouldn't do anything at all. So that's kind of a good way to use your de-esser, is to find the frequency to where it's gonna hit those S's and stuff, and then adjust the threshold to where it's only gonna be activated by those very top harsh S's and stuff.
Yeah, I wasn't really sure how to use that. I just like went through like the templates it has in there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very helpful tool because once you start boosting high end and stuff, those S's are like pierce the ears. So it really helps to have it. Um, do you have the Fab Filter one? The Fab Filter de-esser? See if I find it
I'm
here.
not
I
sure.
think
I
it's
have to
like.
see it. Because the one I have is an older version. Oh yeah, yeah, I do have that one.
Oh, you do have this? Oh, nice. This is my favorite one. It does it very transparently. So I'll even just kind of
It's not
do.
her how that one works either.
Gotcha. It's very similar to the waves, but like this audition, that'll do the same thing. But essentially, there's two things that you're really looking for in the de-esser, and that's setting the frequency that you're going to de-ess essentially, and then you use this threshold button to do like how much de-essing.
Yeah.
So, and a good way to do it to find the frequencies, because especially starting out, is to throw the threshold real high so it's hitting a bunch of stuff, and then listen to it to find it, and then back off to where it's just going to do the stuff that you want it to do. So I'll do kind of the same thing like we did in the last one. I'm gonna hit audition, and then we'll kind of listen for the frequency ranges, which I'm guessing is probably going to be right about here. This one is good for that. Usually about 70 or 7 to 14 is going to be good.
When
But
you're
let's kind of
doing this
listen.
part right here. Okay.
Yeah, this audition button right here.
Yeah. When you're listening for frequencies, what are you listening for again?
I'm listening for the harshest stuff. And again, that's
Okay.
going to be mostly like S's, T's, D's, stuff like that. That's going to really like pierce your ear when it hits
Yeah.
it. That's kind of the frequency ranges that I'm looking for. So I'll hit that. Yeah, right there. You hear it when he said something in that time, it just kind of really hit.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm going to do that. And now I'm going to address this threshold. And think of it as kind of like a ceiling. The threshold will set the ceiling so that anything that goes above it is going to get cut down. So anything that goes above that ceiling is going to be kind of lowered. So we're looking for just those harsh S's and T's and stuff to hit and go above the ceiling. And you can see on this side, it'll show you how much it's attenuating or bringing down. So if we do
If I
like,
die tomorrow with everything I
so like right there,
love in some, hold my name
see this right
up
here?
high. Take care of my kids and everyone I love. Something to remember me by, yeah. Something to remember me.
Yeah, that's why I love this de-esser. It's very precise. So you can see whenever he was singing, this wasn't cutting anything off except for when he hit those hard S's and stuff. You can see it was attenuating about 3 decibels. And you don't need to go crazy. Some people cut off like way too much, and then you're kind of like affecting the rest of the vocal. You really just want to make sure you're cutting out those high frequencies. So think of this line kind of like where the threshold is. That's that ceiling. So anything that goes above that ceiling is going to get cut.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to actually bring this back a little bit too.
If I die tomorrow with everything I love in some, hold my name up high. Take care of my kids and everyone I love. Something to remember me by, yeah.
Nice. So that's the de-esser there. I'm just going to put it in that place. Move up. Oh, that's another thing. Some people like to have with auto-tune, they like it at the beginning. Some people like it at the end.
Yeah.
But just so we can have that on, I'm guessing, let's listen to the beat.
If I die tomorrow with everything I love.
I guess that's F minor.
If I die tomorrow with everything I love in some, hold my name up high. Take care of my kids and everyone I love. Something to remember me by, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't want to spend too much time on auto tune because I know you want to know more about like the EQ and compression and stuff. But I usually set around the stock, and then you can adjust humanize a little bit more or the retune speed if you kind of hear auto tune, and they're looking for like more of a transparent thing. Obviously, if it's one of those songs where you kind of want to hear auto tune in it, you just throw that retune speed up, and then it's going to be crazy. But usually around 20, 25, something like that. I know some people like Chris Brown, for example, he'll go like 15, but his vocals are so on point and he actually sings into auto tune. So he kind of like knows how to sing it to where it's going to sound like perfect like that. But a lot of people, you got to back off a little bit more. So, all right. So we got our EQ, corrective EQ. We got our de-essing. Now, before I go into the compression, I might get out just a little bit of a high end boost.
So you prefer first with auto tune?
Yeah, usually I'll must put the I was looking for the UAD one. Yeah, typically I'll do auto tune first, and then sometimes I'll move it to the beginning of my bus chain. So sometimes I'll do like certain things on the channel, and then I'll bus that to a vocal aux track, like a bus, and then I'll do other stuff to that, and I'll just move the auto tune to the beginning of that bus. So it's really hard to tell the difference, but sometimes there's a little bit of a slight difference in the tone that it makes. So you'll kind of want to experiment on which one it sounds better, and kind of go from there. But it doesn't make that big of a difference. So I actually want the UAD Pultec. Go the long way. Here we go. Oh, sorry, I got too many plugins on here.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Here we go.
Do you just own
So I'll just go with the.
ones, or do you use?
What's that?
I have like the subscription. Do you just own them, or?
Oh yeah, yeah. what do they call it? Spark?
Yeah.
Is that one? Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, I had an endorsement with them, so they gave all of them to me. And then after that ended, I just kind of have the ones that they left me with. But I got a whole bunch of them, so most of them will work. But so I'm gonna guess maybe throw up a little bit of 10. And we may end up moving this to later in the chain, depending how things. It really all goes by your ears. You know, there's really no set formula on what to do in what order. You really just got to follow your ears. But I just wanted to give this a little bit of a kind of like a smiley face boost with the low end and high end. And I love this Pultec. It has a good sound on it. So not quite like the real hardware, but it has the characteristics of it. But so let's check this
If
out.
I die tomorrow with everything I love in some, hold my name up high. Take care of my kids and everyone I love. Some to remember.
And so I kind of know where the range where it's going, but something to do, kind of starting out and getting a feel for things. The best thing to do is just crank it so you can really hear like an obvious difference. So if I go the same what I was doing and then crank it up.
If I die tomorrow with everything I love in some, hold my name up high. Take care of my
And then back off.
kids and everyone I love. Some to remember me by, yeah. Some to remember me by. Some to remember me by. Some to remember me by, yeah. If I die tomorrow with everything I love in some, hold my name up high. Take care of my kids and everyone.
And I'm actually going to take this attenuator, which is a cut, and I'll put it on 20 and roll a little bit off of that super high end, so that this what we're boosting here, it won't affect so much of like the 20-ish range. So we're boosting about 10K, and then we're going to cut back a little bit on the 20K.
If I die tomorrow with everything I love in some, hold my name up high. Take care of my kids and everyone I love. Some to remember me by, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. So we're giving a little bit of 60 just to bring some of that body back. It looked like it may have been cut out through the recording. So I'm just going to give a little bit of that back, and then give it a little bit of a sparkle on the high end, but not that very top of the line. I really want it more in that like 10 to 16K. And this is a shelf filter, to show you on say like a Pro EQ, where this is a bell. What the Pultec is a shelf. So it's essentially boosting everything 10K and above. I'll put that on 10K. And then we also have another shelf, which is lowering the 20K. So that's kind of adjusting the curve of it all. So I'm going to take that off now. So now I'm going to go into compression. I'm going to have to overwrite these, but I think we got the same thing on the other ones if we need to ever go back.
I just have a quick question
Sure, what's up?
on the Pultec one.
Mm-hmm.
How you were saying you were bringing body back. Is that
Mm-hmm.
that's because of like when I had that option for the roll off?
Yeah, it's hard to tell without seeing it, but I can tell just by hearing it that
Yeah.
it was either like a roll off low end cut, or like another kind of low end cut through a like an EQ or something.
So
Do you know if you had an EQ while recording?
you know, yeah, I think I was using the Avalon for the, you know how it lets you
Gotcha.
choose like the preamp, and I had the Avalon on there, and it was
Okay,
just like a stock setting.
right. Okay, and that stock setting, do you know if it activated any of the EQ section?
Yeah, I think it did.
Okay, got it. Yeah, I could tell because it was missing a lot of low end and some body and stuff
Yeah.
that the vocal normally had.
So
Um,
if I'm doing stuff like that, should I
mhm.
put that default on that, or how when I'm going in?
um, yeah, I'm guessing that the default doesn't have any booster cuts or anything. But the main thing to keep in mind when recording is to just take everything off, except for, of course, the preamp itself, because you need the amplification to be able to hear it and pick it up. But any sort of EQ, compression, stuff like that, I would suggest maybe for a while until you really start getting good with EQ and Q. I'm sorry, EQ and compression. Just kind of take that off, so you have a very raw recording, and then do all that stuff in the mixing process. Because after that, you can take stuff off, you can adjust it, you can do whatever you want to do. But if it's in the recording, then you're stuck with whatever you got. You can't really take it out. So kind of like,
So
go
with
ahead.
me not using that option, the
Mhm.
the low end or the high pass filter,
Mhm.
there's like two different ones
I know
on
what
the
you mean.
mic. But when
Mhm.
that's off, so you'd go about it differently on the settings on here, right? For the Pultec.
Yeah, for the Pultec, and say this, like normally we'd have a low end cut to cut off certain stuff. But you can even see from the graphics of the
If I
wave,
die tomorrow with
there's really
everything I
not that much
love
down here. There would
inside,
normally
hold my
be like
name
around
up
here-ish,
high.
Yeah.
Take care of my
but a lot of that stuff was kind of cut off already, so we didn't even really have to worry about that. In a clean recording, or I guess I should say more of a raw recording, you may end up wanting to use a filter just to get some of that low end rumble off. Maybe anywhere from 0 to all the way up to 100 some hertz. But again, that's one of those things that really just depends on the audio that you're working with. Because a lot of that was already kind of cut and just not there. We didn't have to worry about it for this one. But that may be something else that you'll want to address in future recordings when you don't have the EQ or the roll off or anything.
So like in the Pultec one, if you can
Hmm.
pull that one up real quick,
Yeah.
right there where you were saying the 60 on the low frequency,
Uh-huh.
is that like where you were bringing it back?
Yeah. We're bringing back about 1.5 decibels at 60, and that's a shelf EQ, so it does from 60 all the way down.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. So I'm going to go into a little bit of compression. It's going to be a little bit different. We're probably going to have to go pretty light because it looks like it already has a little bit of compression in there. But let's see what you were using. I think the 76. So we'll use this one. All right, so let's see what we got.
If I die tomorrow with everything I love and some, hold my name.
One thing, unless you specifically need gain to like gain match the music or something, especially starting out, it's always best to gain match so that the volume is exactly the same on bypass as it is while it's in. Because that's something with pretty much any plugin, anything you do, volume will always make it sound better. Like it could sound worse, but if it's louder, it'll probably sound better because it's going to be, when it's louder, you hear it more clear, you hear everything better, things like that. So volume itself will deceive your ears very easily. So the first thing I'm going to do is kind of match the volume. Go.
If I die tomorrow with everything I love and
Dial back the
some,
output.
hold my name up high. Take care of my kids and everyone I love. Something to remember me by, yeah. Something to remember me by. Something to remember me by. Something to remember me by, yeah. If I die tomorrow with everything I love and some, hold my name up high. Take care of my kids and everyone I love. Something to remember me by, yeah. Something to remember me by. Something to remember me by. Something to remember me by, yeah.
So yeah, you shouldn't be getting necessarily volume out of your compression. What you're really looking for, because what a compressor does is, let's say you have your dynamic range, right? The lowest point of the softest stuff, and then the highest point of the loudest stuff, right? So what a compressor will do, it'll turn down those loud stuffs and then the makeup gain will bring it back. So the loudest stuff will be just as loud as it was before, but the stuff that's not quite as loud will be brought up. So it's a little bit more even in levels. So when you're listening to what you want to be doing with the compression, is you're looking for some of that stuff that's a little bit lower and harder to hear, that maybe like you kind of lose under the beat and stuff like that. And those lower things will be brought up closer to the higher things. So to kind of find an example here, we'll kind of do this. So we have a little bit lower here and a little bit higher here. And again, it's already compressed, so some of that is already done, so it's not going to be as apparent as like a raw recording. But we'll just listen here.
And everyone I love, 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 and everyone I love.
Yeah, typically with an 1176, and again, this is different with everything, but a lot of times I like a fast release, which is weird. Just so you know, on 1176, typically the faster might be like that, but it's kind of opposite on an 1176 as opposed to some other compressors. But yeah, this is going to be the fastest, and so what that's saying. With the attack time, it's telling you how fast you want that compression to kick in, and then the release is how fast you want it to let off. So let's say if you want a little bit of a slower attack and a faster release, it's essentially going to let the initial transients through and then cut in, but then it's going to let go really quick so that you don't hear the compression as much. If the attack is set to higher, and this is something more advanced, but for the recording, like I was saying, if you do want any compressor, you just want, any compression, you want to set that a little bit faster, but just so it's catching the very loudest stuff. So if it gets like way too loud, then it'll just catch in and cut a little bit off. And the fast attack will allow you to do that, to get in and then get back to zero, so it's not cutting off too much. But with mixing, typically I'll go, and again, it's different for everything, but a lot of times I'll go somewhere between these two on the 1176, and then with a little bit of a faster release, like around this range here. So with this one, I'm just going to kind of make it obvious with slow attack, fast release, so you can hear it a little bit better.
Does it vary between singing and rapping for that?
Kind of the same. With rapping, you may want a little bit of a slower attack to let some of, like if they're like punching, a slower attack will keep that punchiness. Where let's say singing, you might want to go a little bit higher and then keep it like this, where with rapping it'll be a lot quicker. Like it'll let that initial transient through for the punch, and then the release time will get back to normal real quick. But I say that very generalized because sometimes it's too punchy, and those transients are just hitting too hard, they're coming through, and then it's not allowing you to hear the other things really good. And in that case, you'd want to do the opposite and have a faster attack. So it kind of really just depends how much you want. But think of it as transients, like the things that are like punching through like that. How much you want to tame those and how you want them to work. Do you want to accentuate them a little bit by letting the initial transient go through and then catching it with the release? Or do you want to cut it back a little bit to tame it and cut the transients down a little bit? So it's kind of really dependent on what you want to do and what the initial audio is. But if I was just kind of starting out with something, maybe start out kind of like around here, and then adjust the settings to get it to where you want it, how you want it. But with compression, think of it as like those transients that are punching through and kind of If it's standing out like too much, then you're going to want to tame those transients, and you'll use a compressor to do that. It'll also bring things like a lot forward in the mix, because rather than having some things that are back here, it'll bring that closer so that it sounds a little more in your face. And a faster attack will also do that. It'll make it a little more in your face because it's catching more and it's bringing the lower stuff up more. So, and maybe just to give you an example here, I'm going to turn it up just so to make everything kind of stand out more, the compression stand out more, and then we can back it off again to where we want it. So we'll turn that down. Turn that up. Just kind of go through the whole thing.
Everything I love in some, hold my name up high. Take care of my kids and everyone I love, something to remember.
See how that kind of brought it a little more in your face when we turned the attack and release up? So to give you kind of the different idea.
Everything I love in some, hold my name up high. Take care of my kids and everyone I love, something to remember me by, yeah. Something to remember me by.
See how the compressor is here the whole time?
Something to remember me by.
So that kind of keeps it all kind of crunched together, so it's going to move together. Where with the setting we had before with the faster release, you're going to see the needle kind of jump around a little bit more. So it's only going to catch those initial things.
Everything I love in some, hold my name up high. Take care of my kids and everyone I love, something to remember me by, yeah. Something to remember me by.
So that's heavy compression, so you can really kind of hear where everything is kind of up here. There's not much that's lower in volume, and back there it's a lot more level between the loudest stuff and the softer stuff. It kind of brings it a little closer together. So you can get especially with heavy compression like that, and that's pretty popular, especially in like hip hop and rap and stuff. There's a lot of compression being used, so so you can kind of hear everything close up with this, and then I'll turn it back down again so you can kind of hear the difference.
With everything I love.
Oh, sorry, were you gonna say something?
Yeah. I've seen people use more than one.
Oh, for sure.
Okay. And
Yeah, that's something, especially with plugins, that you're going to do. I would never go this hard of a compression on one compressor in a plugin. Hardware is a lot more lenient, but you kind of get some digital artifacts and stuff like that when hitting compressors too hard. So I will definitely use multiple compressors on plugins, and a lot of times what I'll do is I'll use the hardware to do like the bulk work of it all, and that way I can be compressing 10 dB, 20 dB or whatever, and then I'll print that, and then I'll use plugins just to kind of get a little bit exactly where I want it. So, and I'll show you kind of how to stack that. It's called serial compression. So I'll just play it with this heavy compression again, and then I'll back off to where we'd want it in this song, and then we'll do another one, and we'll just kind of do a little bit of compression at the same time to kind of get it up to where we want it. So heavy compression here.
With everything I love in some, hold my name up high. Take care of my kids and everyone I love, something to remember me by, yeah. Something to remember me by. Something to remember me by. Something to remember me by, yeah. With everything I love in some, hold my name.
All right. And then one plugin that I really love, especially for vocals, I think it's Arvox from Wave, so you should have it. This one right here. But with this one, I really like to just kiss it, just maybe like a decibel or two of compression. So let's listen to that. And this one really has a tendency to kind of bring it in your face too. So let's check this out.
With everything I love in some, hold my name up high. Take care of my kids and everyone I love, something to remember me by, yeah. Something to remember me by. Something to remember me by. Something to remember me by, yeah.
Yeah, something like that I really like.
And do you always want to take off like that much off gain on there?
It always, I know it's just kind of a hard answer to say like, well, it always depends on the content. You're just kind of listening for it.
Yeah.
With this plugin, I don't know if I've ever gone above maybe like 3 or 4 decibels. But I would say on average, I'm looking for about a decibel or so. And you can see the gain reduction right down here. So that'll tell you exactly how much it's compressing. So if I click that, it'll go back to 0, and then I'll play it, and it'll show you how much is being reduced right here in gain through. So essentially, how much compression you're doing right down here.
If I die tomorrow with everything I love and some, hold my name up high. Take care of my kids and everyone I love. Something to remember me by, yeah. Something to remember me by. Something to remember me by.
Yeah, and you can tell it's already compressed a good amount because there's not that much dynamic range here. But you can see it was usually around a decibel or so. You know, maybe 0.6 here, 0.1, 0.5 there. But for the most part, and you saw me click on it, and that'll just reset it. So it'll kind of show you what it's doing at what point. But this one is a really good one for vocals to just get a little bit of compression off of, and it'll do a lot work for just a little bit of compression.
Okay.
And then one thing that I like doing for compression, especially in going along with the 1176, is the LA2A, which I think I saw on here. Yeah, the CLA. And again, it all goes for what you like best. I personally like the UAD one, and I think you should have it.
Yeah, I do. I don't.
Okay, good.
I know there's different versions of it though.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different ones.
I think I
I'll
have
use
a
the
few.
Legacy because I know you'll have that one.
Oh, okay, okay.
Should be
Like
this right here.
Yeah, yeah.
And go
I think
ahead.
I have one of the other ones too that looks like older version kind of too.
Yeah, is it like the silver one or
Yeah, I'm not
maybe like
sure what
gray?
the difference is, but
Gotcha.
like
The
all different.
From what I hear, the gray one has a little bit more color to it,
Mhm.
so it's good in a lot of situations, depending on if you want that color. This one is slightly more transparent, um, so it's good just to get a tiny bit of compression again. Sometimes even as much as half a decibel, but it kind of gives it a little bit of a bigger, bolder feel usually, in my opinion. Um, so I'm going to do that just to get a little bit out. Let's see where we're at here.
If I die tomorrow with everything I love and some, hold my name up high. Take care of my kids and everyone I love. Something to remember me by, yeah. Something to remember me by. Something to remember me by. Something to remember me by, yeah.
Yeah, so, and this is a good example of, even though there's only a little bit of compression, it's going maybe to the half to the 1 mark right here.
Yeah.
You can still hear a difference with the low to high stuff to where it just kind of brings it up a little bit, makes it feel a little more bolder. So I'll play it again here and I'll take it in and out. Again, there's not really a volume difference. It's just the compression is bringing it a little more forward. So we'll play it.
If I die tomorrow with everything I love and some, hold my name up high. Take care of my kids and everyone I love. Something to remember me by, yeah. Something to remember me by. Something to remember me by. Something to remember me by.
There you go. So we're not doing like these big, huge compression moves. Again, if there wasn't as much compression already printed in there, we'd probably be going a little bit heavier, especially on the 1176. But even if something's like that, you can just use things a little bit here and there. I always say like mixing is a game of inches. Like it's not a game of like these one particular thing is going to make this huge giant difference. You'll want to do a lot of little things just to inch your way up to get the final result.
Yeah. Okay.
So let's listen and see what we got here.
If I die tomorrow with everything I love and some, hold my name up high. Take care of my kids and everyone I love. Something to remember me by, yeah.
Yes, we got it a lot better already. Do you have the? Let me see. I'll see if I can pull it up. Um, I think it's the MB from the multiband compressor from FabFilter. I'll pull it up so you can see it. So it looks a lot like
Yeah.
the Pro Q. Got this
Yeah,
one too?
I think I do.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice, nice. This is really good for this situation too. And what I'm gonna do for right now, because it can get super advanced and complicated with the different bands of how you're gonna compress different frequency ranges. But for right now, um, I'm gonna make it really simple. And I saw actually Il Angelo do this trick. That's he does a lot of like the weekends work and stuff like that. Uh, but you can kind of just break it up into two, right? So make it around like 2000, somewhere around there. So you really only have two bands going, right? So you kind of look at it like controlling the lower range here and the upper range here. And I wouldn't even get too much into like attack and release ratio, stuff like that, because I want to keep it pretty simple right now. Um, but look at it this way: this will tame your lower end and your higher end, and you can usually boost a little bit on the higher end to get a little bit more out of that. So I'm going to play it and then kind of adjust the settings. The threshold is the main thing that we're looking at, and
If I die tomorrow with everything I love and some, hold my name up high. Take care of my kids and everyone I love. Something to remember me by, yeah. Something to remember me by. Something to remember me by. Something to remember me by, yeah.
so you'll see when the high end gets a little bit too much, it'll duck it
Yeah.
down. And I'm actually boosting it a little bit. I'm gonna do about 1.5. Sounded like a good range. So when it gets too much, it'll pull it down. But then you can boost the high end and get away with it because the harsh stuff will be brought down. Everything else will be left alone boosted. And then the lows you can kind of do the same.
If I die tomorrow with everything I love and some, hold my name up high. Take care of my kids and everyone I love. Something to remember me by, yeah. Something to remember me by. Something to remember me by. Some.
And then one more thing, I don't know if you have this one. I don't know if it's going to work on this because a lot of the lows were already cut out. But this is actually one of the best free plugins I've ever
Oh
seen. I
yeah.
don't know if you've seen
Yeah, I
this,
got
Fresh
that one.
Air. Okay, nice. Yeah, yeah. I like this just to give it a little bit of air on top.
If I die tomorrow with everything I love and some, hold my name up high. Take care of my kids and everyone I love. Something to remember me by, yeah.
Yeah, and something that I'm hearing now that we're getting a little bit more high end is I think we want to run a little bit more of a de-esser. Actually, I think we'll do it right here. Since we have that open, I'm just going to do another FabFilter one.
If I die tomorrow with everything I love and some, hold my name up high. Take care of my kids and everyone I love. Something to remember me by, yeah. Something to remember me by. Something to remember me by. Something to remember me by, yeah. If I die tomorrow with everything I love and some, hold my name up high. Take care of my kids and everyone I love. Something to remember me by, yeah.
There we go. So sometimes you'll have multiple things. Like let's say we boosted a little bit of the high end and things like that after our first de-esser. We'll maybe use another one to kind of counteract and tame the boosting that we did. don't know if you have. Do you have Soothe by chance?
Oh no, I've been wanting that one though.
Yeah. This is it really does a lot, especially with like resonant frequencies and taming harsh stuff. It does a lot of work that would normally take a long time with not just EQing, but automating EQing.
Mhm.
Because some EQ moves, like let's say you just have like a couple little spots here and there to where it gets a little resonant or a little harsh, you'd use a like an EQ like this, but then you would automate it so that it only does it during certain parts. So let's say in terms of automating, um, just do something, just kind of like an example. We'll do band free frequency and then band three gain. So, and then I'm not sure if do you use Pro Tools?
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
it's an older
So,
version, but
gotcha. No worry. Yeah, the automation's the same. You would just click this little thing. This is at the top of every plugin, and that'll tell you what things you want to automate. Oh, I thought I hit the gain for band three, but let's see, there it is. Add. So you just add into here whatever you want to automate, click OK, and then you'll see that thing down here at the bottom where it says Pro Q, frequency, and gain.
yeah,
So we
yeah.
could.
I never used that before.
Okay, yeah, this is a little bit more advanced in terms of automation, but especially with plugins. But one thing that's great for automation that's kind of usually necessary in every song is like the volume. So you don't want to just depend on a compressor to bring up all your levels. Sometimes you'll need to automate the volume to bring certain words, certain phrases, things that are just like not as loud as with the other ones. So let's say you can't hear a certain word over the beat, you'll just automate that one word. Like, and this is a
Okay.
for the EQ, but just to show you, if this was volume, let's say this one phrase right here was a little low, you can bring it up in volume just for that one thing. So it'll raise the volume up for that line and then bring it back to normal. And that's pretty essential in pretty much any mix.
So
There's a lot of
putting
automation going on.
so putting
Sorry.
those plugins in there, what did that do for it in the automation?
So for this
What's that
example,
for?
let's say this is the frequency right now. So let's say this one word right here was a little harsh, right?
Yeah.
So will choose our frequency, and where's it set at? So this is around 700. So let's say 2500 was the harsh frequency, right? So we'll set this to 2500 just for this line right here, or I think it's a word right here.
Yeah.
And then we would go to the gain, and same thing for this one word, we would turn it down. So essentially, what this is doing is it's turning 25K down for this one word at like 13 decibels. So it'll let you choose the frequency because we added both of them. We got band 3 frequency and band 3 gain. So you can choose what frequency is your harsh frequency, and then the gain will let you decide how much you want to lower it. So if, like I said, if one word is just super like harsh and it's just too much for the ears, you can
Mhm.
do that by automating an EQ. Because otherwise, it's just gonna boot or it's gonna lower 2500 through the whole thing, and you don't want that. You only want it for
Yeah.
that one word. So
Mhm.
you could do that through automation if you don't have really any other options. And a lot of times you're going to have to do that anyway. But kind of circling back around to Soothe, it really takes a lot of that work off of your hands, just by because
Okay.
it kind of goes with the music. It's not like a static type of setting. So if we kind of listen to it from the beginning, put that back to the waveform, and you'll be able to see Soothe kind of acting as it goes along.
Name up high. Take care of my kids and everyone I love. Something to remember me by, yeah. Something to remember me by. Something to remember me by. Something to remember me by, yeah.
So kind of just some of those resonant frequencies, something that's a little bit harsh, it just kind of
Mhm.
smooths them out. And it does it according to the content that's coming in. So every word, it'll adjust it compared to what the audio is doing.
Yeah.
So go back to the beginning here and let you see it. I'll go through bypass here and kind of take it in and out a little bit, but
If I die tomorrow with everything I love and some, hold my name up high. Take care of my kids and everyone I love. Something to remember me by, yeah. Something to remember me by. Something to remember me by.
so you kind of hear how it's kind of smoothing everything out and taking a little bit of that harshness out of there.
Yeah.
But since you don't have it, I'll take that out for now, just so we can work with what you do have. So there's a few things else that that we can kind of go with that, but I wanted to just show you a few other things before we get off. Let's do a bus here. And I always like to name them so I know where everything is going. So this is lead vocal bus. And then it'll go out the mix bus. And then we're going to send this to that bus that we just created, lead vocal bus. All right, so it's coming out of here and coming into here.
If I die tomorrow with everything I love and some, hold my name up high.
All right, so I'm going to do a little bit of saturation. I think I noticed that you had the inflator, so I'll use that. That sounds pretty good on vocals usually. Inflator. Yeah, this one, right? I think you had that on the vocal bus.
If I die tomorrow with everything I love and some, hold my name up high. Take care of my kids and everyone I love. Something to remember me by, yeah. Something to remember me by. Something to remember me by. Something to remember me by, yeah. If I die tomorrow with everything I love and some, hold my name up high. Take care of my kids and everyone I love. Something to remember me by.
So that just adds a little bit of harmonics, a little bit of color to it. Another good one. Do you have the Studer from UAD? It looks like
Sure.
that one.
I
Got it.
think I do. I think I haven't used that one.
Okay, gotcha. It's just
think
like
I
a
do.
tape machine emulator.
I think
You might
it's in
have.
the Spark. I think it's in there.
Okay, good. Yeah, if you don't, if you want, I could use a different one. But I'm basically looking for kind of like a tape emulation type of plugin.
Okay. Does Waves have one too? Or
Yeah, what does? Let's see,
'cause I
harmonic.
think I have one in there too. But
I know they have a Kramer tape and a J37. I don't use these ones too much myself. Although what I do use these for is for the delay. They have some good like tape delays on them, like the slap and stuff like that.
yeah,
Like even show a see like a
I wish I could
preset type of thing.
I think I might have that on mine. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Are they similar though? The UAD?
Yeah, a lot of them are pretty similar. I just use the UAD one, I think, because I use that a lot, and that's kind of what I'm used to. I think they have
Yeah.
a,
You can
let's
go
see,
off
is it
that one.
Oxide? Yeah, they have this one too, and they may give that with the Spark. I don't know if that one looks a
Oh,
little
yeah.
more familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it
okay,
does.
cool. So just try this here.
If I die tomorrow with everything I love and some, hold my name up high. Take care of my kids and everyone I love. Something to remember me by, yeah.
And the way to kind of go about it with these tape machines is the closer it pegs out at this red mark, that's you're going to get the more color and more distortion and harmonics and stuff like that. This actually seemed like it was pretty good right exactly where it's at.
If I
Maybe-
die
maybe push it a
tomorrow
little bit
with
more.
everything I love and some, hold my name up high. Take care of my kids and everyone I love. Something to remember me by, yeah. Something to remember me by. Something to remember me by. Something to remember me by, yeah.
Nice. And something that I still feel like it's almost there, but something I feel like we're missing is still a little bit of uh, body and uh, I guess kind of like presence. So look at it this way, like a lot of lower frequencies will make you seem closer, where less lower frequencies will bring you back a little bit. So I'm gonna bring back that Pultec like we had before,
Yeah.
but uh, I'm gonna only do it instead of a large band. I'm gonna go sharp right here, which kind of decides like how wide it is and how narrow it is. So I'm gonna go super narrow, and I'm gonna go on 60, and then I'm gonna bring this up a little bit just to give the idea that he's closer to you. So kind of listen to what this does.
If I die tomorrow with everything I love in some, hold my name up high. Take care of my kids and everyone I love. Something to remember me by, yeah. Something to remember me.
So you can kind of see it with and without. It almost sounds like he takes a step back when I put it in bypass. So listen.
If I die tomorrow with everything I love in some, hold my name up high. Take care of my kids and everyone I love. Something to remember me by, yeah. Something.
See, there's a name for it. I'm trying to remember, but it's basically a concept of those lower frequencies bring you a little bit closer. And that's something that a lot of people do, especially with templates and stuff, because high end will like brighter. It'll make it more present and it'll make it pop up through the mix more. But sometimes you get a little bit further away and it almost kind of like chops the balls off of them a little bit, where that'll kind of beef them up and make them stronger. Like, especially with male voices, you want to keep it like thick and strong. You don't want it too thin. So kind of like that, putting that towards the end of your chain, it'll bring back that girth, and that makes a pretty big difference. And a lot of people don't do that. So just kind of listen to this here.
If I die tomorrow with everything I love in some, hold my name up high. Take care of my kids and everyone I love. Something to remember me by, yeah. Something to remember me by. Something to remember me by. Something to remember me by, yeah.
I think I kind of like the high end where it's at. Kind of like I said before, if it wasn't compressed already, we'd probably be doing a decent amount more compression. But I think kind of where it's at right now is kind of good. You don't want to like smash it down too much, especially like this. If it was more of like a rap vocal, we could probably smash it down a little bit more with compression. But with singing, you don't want to hit it too hard. So I think it's kind of good where it's at there. And then you would use volume automation to bring up anything that might be a little bit too low. Let's see if there's anything. Let me know too when you're listening to it if there's like a certain word or phrase that you feel isn't quite loud enough or it's not popping through, because you want to be able to hear everything, decipher the lyrics and everything like that. So
Yeah.
if I die tomorrow with everything I love in some, hold my name up high. Take care of my kids and everyone I love. Something to remember me by, yeah. Something to remember me by. Something to remember me by.
I'll turn on the volume a little bit just so we can make sure that even at lower volumes it'll pop through.
If I die tomorrow with everything I love in some, hold my name up high. Take care of my kids and everyone I love. Something to remember me by, yeah. Something to remember me by. Something to remember me by. Something to remember me by, yeah.
I heard like where I
This is
said
just an example. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just hearing parts that probably had to go up, like right there.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
Yeah,
I kind of wanted to like point one out, just to grab a random line. I think he said, "Take care of my kids."
Kids and everyone I
Everyone I
love, my
love. Yeah.
kids.
Was that?
Yeah, it was right there where you said. Yeah.
Yeah. So something like this, where if we had a little bit more open to do compression, it might bring it up. But in this situation, we're just going to automate it. So in Pro Tools, you can do volume. I like to do volume trim. Difference being if you, well, actually, let's do it on the lead track, this one here. So if you do volume and raise that up, you're kind of like stuck there.
And some hold my name up high.
I know that's very extreme, but just to kind of show you with the volume, if I want to turn it up there, the main volume,
Hold my name up high.
it's going to stay like that. So even if I try to change it, it's going to go back to this 4.7. So it's always best to do volume trim so that this, you can always change it up or down however you want, and that'll affect the main track. And then only what you automate will be affected. So
With everything I love.
you can even hear right there where he says tomorrow, and then he comes up with everything I love.
With everything I love.
See, everything I love sounds a little bit louder.
With everything I love.
Yeah.
So
With everything.
so I'm just going to turn that up just a tiny bit.
With everything I love.
Yeah, and we probably need to turn it up before that even. That's about 1.5 or 1.2. So let's try that.
If I die tomorrow with everything I love.
If I die, it should be up a little louder.
If I die tomorrow with everything. Die tomorrow.
I'll raise this up a tiny bit.
If I die tomorrow with everything.
And take that out.
If I die tomorrow with everything I love.
So you'll kind of want to do a lot of this to get those final gain staging and make sure that everything pops out. And especially it'll dictate on, or it'll be dictated on what the music's doing too. So when the music's kind of soft, you'll be able to hear a lot easier. And then when things come up in the music, you'll want to automate that to kind of ride with the music. So you kind of do that throughout the whole song. And like I said, automation is a really big part of mixing that a lot of people just don't do. Because it does take time, as you can see, but it's kind of, for a professional mix, it's got to be done. And that's why it takes a long time to mix songs. And it not necessarily, like volume is the main thing. You're almost always going to do volume automation. But even to kind of get movement and things like instruments that are blocking the vocal, you can automate that to go down to duck it under the vocal rather than raising the volume of the vocal itself.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's you just want to duck underneath, and even things like effects. Good.
Would that be for more like backgrounds and stuff?
Yeah, for backgrounds you could do it. You could bus all the backgrounds to one single bus to kind of help you with stacks and stuff. But yeah, there's a lot of ducking things underneath the vocal. So I know this is on a 2-track, so we couldn't necessarily duck certain instruments alone. But let's say you got a synth or you got a guitar that you feel is just kind of above the vocal a little bit. So during that one part, during that one phrase, or whenever it is covering the vocal, you can just duck that guitar underneath so that the vocal can ride on top of it. But with like effects, a lot of effects automation. So like say you got a reverb, and that's something that we can kind of show you right here too. Let's just say reverb. And what's something you got? Do you got the Valhalla?
Yeah, I do.
Nice. So let's say we got this big reverb, and we'll take a send. And see if we can find the verb. Search. Now we'll make a new one.
If I die tomorrow with everything I love and some, hold my name up high. Take care of my.
See how that sounds kind of like a whole lot of reverb, right?
Yeah.
So you can automate this. Let's see. Actually, we'll automate the send. So you see verb, this is the one that the send that we just created. So we'll do level trim. And you can take this down quite a bit.
If I die tomorrow with everything.
But where you got that space where he says tomorrow,
Mm-hmm.
raise that up pretty high. And then when the next line comes in, because you don't want the reverb to mask the next line, so you can bring it back down like that. Actually, I want to make that opposite. There we go. So the reverb is basically up at the end here. Let's see how that sounds.
If I die tomorrow with everything I love.
Well, that's extreme, but you kind of get it. We'll make it creep up.
If I die tomorrow with everything I love. If I die tomorrow with everything I love.
But you kind of get the idea. You shouldn't hear it ducking down like that, but the idea is at the end of that phrase, you can add more reverb to kind of fill in that space, and then it's not like masking up.
Yeah.
Because if you kind of have it the whole way, like,
Everything I love and some, hold my name up high.
actually I kind of like it right around there, but so we'll put the rest up. Where's that? About 3.2. And then just raise up that little part.
Tomorrow with everything I love. Tomorrow with everything I love is.
And something else that you can do, just kind of help you out with that, give you a little. It's almost like built-in automation. Is let's create another send, and we'll call this vocal duck. And this is going to kind of duck it for us. So at the end of this, we do the fab filter again, the C2. And there's a lot, pretty much any compressor that has a side chain. So we'll set the side chain here to the vocal duck that we just made. And what this will do is it'll duck it while the vocal is going, and then it'll release it to open up the reverb. So
if I die tomorrow with everything I love and some, hold my name up high. Take care of my kids and everyone I love. Some to remember me by, yeah. Some.
So if you can kind of see the reduction here, while he's talking, it's cutting out the reverb about 6 decibels or so. And then anytime there's space, it's going to allow that reverb to swell. And that'll save a lot of time in terms of automation and stuff too.
If I die tomorrow with everything I love and some, hold my name up high. Take care of my kids and everyone I love. Some to remember me by, yeah. Some to remember me by. Some to remember me by. Some to remember me by, yeah.
So you can use this threshold to kind of decide how wet you want it to be and how in your face. Because reverb, just like any effects, delay, stuff like that, it'll bring you back a little bit. It'll kind of create space. So if you kind of look at it this way, like if we were in a big room together and we were like right in each other's face, you wouldn't hear that much reverb. It would be kind of delayed in the back here. But if I was standing 50 feet away from you, you would hear a lot more reverb. So you kind of look at it that way. So this will bring you a little bit closer, but still allow those reverb swell to happen during the open space. So again, if you look at the gain reduction here, you'll see it cutting down the reverb. And when there's no gain reduction, you'll hear more reverb. So kind of play it again here.
If I die tomorrow with everything I love in some, hold my name up high.
See kind of where he says like with some, and then the reverb swells before, and then when the next line comes in, it ducks back down. He
Yeah.
says some like my name. It'll
Mhm.
cut down when he's saying, and then in that brief pause, it'll open up, and the reverb will come back again. So
Mhm.
If I die tomorrow with everything I love in some, hold my name up high. Take care of my kids and everyone I love. Something to remember me by, yeah. Something to remember me by. Something to remember me by.
So you kind of hear as he's talking, it cuts it down a little bit. But after he says "Remember me by," and there's that pause, you can hear
Mhm.
the reverb a lot more. So it's a
Yeah.
great way to keep it in your face, but still have a good audible reverb.
Mhm.
So pretty much every mix, I almost always do that ducking trick, and then I'll just do minor adjustments in the automation, just so because it'll take forever if you want to automate the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to use that ducking trick and then just do the little small adjustments with automation. So do you got any questions so far?
Yeah. Just on that part,
Hmm.
does it kind of vary around like the settings, like each time? Kind of just
Yeah, most
how.
definitely. Yeah, pretty much with almost anything, it's gonna always vary in terms of like how much compression, what attack and release settings, what the ratio with reverbs, what kind of reverb, even like things such as the pre-delay, the decay times, and kind of EQing the reverbs and stuff, as well as, of course, like you just asked, the ducking. It's gonna
Yeah.
always everything is different every song. Not even every vocalist, just literally every song, because even the same vocalist will be using different frequency ranges, different timing, stuff like that. Um, so if to get really more advanced and into it, we would adjust the attack and the release times of how fast we want the duck of the reverb to go and how fast we want the release to go.
Yeah.
So like say if you want to kind of that reverb to kick in really fast, we'd cut this
Mhm.
release time down. Or let's say you just wanted it to creep up really slow, then we do a slower time. The Pro C2, the initial times are pretty good for stuff like that, and even on the compressor, I like it using as a compressor for the vocals, stuff like that.
Mhm.
Um, Even like let's say we wanted to put it as a final compressor down here, and I'm going to take the side chain off. Oh, I'll show you the side chain itself too, how to set that up. Um, but just kind of without adjusting anything else.
If I die tomorrow with everything I love in some, hold my name up high. Take care of my
This is
kids and
without the
everyone I
release, or
love.
without the
Something to
reverb.
remember me
Yeah.
by, yeah. Something to remember me by. Something to remember me by. Something to remember me by, yeah.
So with setting your makeup gain here, because
Mhm.
with compression you're turning something down, right? And then you use the
Yeah.
makeup gain to turn everything back up. So how I was saying, compression will take the highest stuff and the lowest stuff. It'll cut down the lowest stuff, and then use that makeup gain to bring it back to where it was. So usually about the amount of gain reduction that you're doing here is about what you want to use for the makeup gain. So
Mhm.
if we're cutting maybe 2 dB.
If I die tomorrow with everything I love in some, hold my name up high.
So it's cutting about a decibel and a half. So we'll
Yeah.
do that with the makeup gain. So that'll kind of equal itself out.
If I die tomorrow with everything I love in some, hold my name up high. Take care of my kids.
See, that brought it forward a little bit more for
Yeah.
us too. Um, so I'm guessing you have the C2 because you seem to have the other FabFilter stuff.
Yeah. I never
Okay,
used it.
got it. Okay, yeah. It doesn't have color, and that's why I like it a lot.
Mhm.
Where, like, let's say some of the other compressors we did, like the 1176, LA2A, Arvox, those all have a little bit of color to them.
Yeah.
The C2 is very transparent. So it'll do your compression without really leaving like a color imprint on it.
Mhm.
And that's why I like it usually for around like my last compressor. Because by that point, I usually have the color where I want it, like the harmonics and the distortion, stuff like that. And so
Yeah.
it'll just do that last little bit for us without altering the color of the vocal.
That makes
So again, to kind of give you a little bit of what that's doing.
If I die tomorrow with everything I love and some, hold my name up high. Take care of my kids and everyone I love, something to remember me by, yeah.
And I'll put the reverb back on.
If I die tomorrow with everything I love and some, hold my name up high.
Sorry, we lost it there. So we go in here. Vocal bus. Okay.
If I die tomorrow with everything I love and some.
I think we have the other vocals. That's right. That's why I had it soloed. Just the beat and the lead vocal.
If I die tomorrow with everything I love and some, hold my name up high. Take care of my kids and everyone I love, something to remember me by, yeah. Something to remember me by. Something to remember me by. Something to remember me.
And with that, I know we're kind of out of time now, but I would do something very similar of what we're doing with the reverb and use a delay. So especially these big gaps under Remember Me By, you'd kind of have a delay with that reverb to kind of fill in it. So be Remember Me By, kind of like that. And we can get a little bit more into effects next time.
okay.
But to just to give you an idea of what I was using, is this vocal duck send that we got right here.
Yeah.
It's basically just sending a copy of that vocal into right here. And all Pro Tools plugins have it right here, this little key looking thing.
Yeah.
That's your side chain. So you'll put that send right into the key. So that vocal ducks that we're setting right here comes into the side chain of the plugin. And that's what allows this to read the vocal. So when the vocal is in there, it's compressing it and it's kind of reacting to what the vocal is doing. And I use that side chain, for all sorts of stuff. I mean, from ducking a bass line under a kick so that the kick will punch through and not get masked with the bass. Side chain's great for that. Vocals, all sorts of stuff. We use that side chain technique a lot.
So is that something
Sorry?
you have to click on there every time? Or is it like...
Yeah, you'll want to put the vocal in the side chain thing here, and then depending on what plugin you're using, it's this right here. I put it as external. Its stock is internal for your side chain. You just want to put that on external so that it'll read that side chain right there.
Okay.
And you do a different compressor to show you another example where you don't use the patchwork. Let's do like a stock plugin right here. So the same thing, I'll take this off, and where it has a sidechain input right here, that's going to be your send. So we created the vocal duck, hit that, and then your sidechain right here, you want to hit that key, so that'll activate the sidechain, and it'll be the same thing.
If I die tomorrow with everything I love and some, hold my name up high.
You see right here in the gain reduction how it's got the vocal. So every time the vocal is, it ducks it down with the gain reduction, and then it'll let up when the vocal's not on. One more time.
If I die tomorrow with everything I love and some, hold my name up high. Take care of my kids and everyone I love, something to remember me by, yeah. Something to remember me by. Something to remember me by.
So it keeps that vocal nice and in your face without the reverb masking it. And then as soon as there is no vocal, that reverb just spills out at you.
I didn't know that.
So yeah, you can watch it again with the video and just kind of see what we did. But yeah, basically you just make a send to send that vocal out, and then you put that send in the key right here for the side chain, and then there's usually like a side chain thing here to activate it. Just like with the C2 that we did, um, key right here, that's your
Yeah.
vocal send, and then you hit this external to activate it, and it does the same thing.
If I die tomorrow with everything I love in some, hold my name up high. Take care of
Just like that. That's a really good trick for, because a lot of people, especially that don't know that stuff and they don't automate it, that reverb will kind of make that vocal a little cluttered, make it sound a little bit back. But if it's ducking that reverb, that vocal comes straight in your face with still having the reverb. So
Wow,
that's definitely a good trick to use.
that's cool. I've never seen that.
Yeah, that's one of those things that a lot of people don't do. But well, I mean, like a lot of higher level engineers, like pro engineers, do it, but a lot
Yeah.
of like hobbyists and stuff don't really know that. So
Yeah.
that's a big difference. They're like, how do you get those vocals so in your face? Well, it's like, well, you
Mhm.
duck the reverbs, you duck the delays, stuff like that. So they only fill in the gaps, and it sounds like there's always reverb going, but
Mhm.
it's really because your ears pick up on the gaps when they hear those big reverb swells. But otherwise, it's still there, but it's being ducked like 6-9 decibels.
Mhm.
So that'll keep that lead in your face.
Yeah. That's cool.
Cool, man. So I think we'll probably have to call it at this point. I think we did about an hour or so, but yeah, for the next one, maybe we can do something that didn't have anything already. Maybe if you do like a new recording or something like that, just take
Mhm.
everything off except for the
Okay.
preamp itself. So
Yeah.
like no EQs, no compression, no ducking, just keep it completely raw. And then I can
Mhm.
show you how I do that more. And in that case,
Yeah.
we'd be doing quite a bit more compression and a little bit more work on it. But
Okay. Yeah. I'm like, now that I know that, and I really want to do that. Like.
yeah, for sure. It makes a big difference when getting a vocal to sound in your face.
Mhm.
Um, Same thing with kind of like what we did with the Pultec down here, just that little bit, a decibel and a half, a 60 with a very sharp band. It'll get it in your face. It's not always just compression and kind of like comparing, like look what we did with EQs, right? We did
Yeah.
just a little bit, tiny bit of corrective EQs, no more than 2 decibels or so. Um, what else do we do? That's de-essing. Here we did a little bit of a boost, about 2.5 boost at the high end, 10K, a little bit at the low K. The low K, normally I wouldn't do that so early, but that was more so to counteract the
Yeah.
dip that we did off the recording.
Mhm.
And then we did a little bit of compression, but EQ, we didn't really do that much, right? So compare that to that. We had that one, and then we had that one. So these are some, like a lot of EQ moves that really didn't need to be there. This is
Yeah.
boosted 7 dB at 6 and up. Things like that aren't really necessary, especially if you do the corrective EQ that you need to do at the beginning.
Yeah.
Um, so we'll kind of activate these plugins again. And what's a good way to do a comparison? I'll just, for right now, I'll just copy this up there. And kind of go back and forth with the solo, right? So I'm going to go back and forth with these. We'll probably need to turn that one up.
If I die tomorrow with everything I love in some, hold my name.
I'll take the verb off of it.
If I die tomorrow with everything I love in some, hold my name up high. Take care of my
Let's look at the peaks to make sure we can volume match. If you need to know the peak, just click on the volume thing and hit Command and then click, and that'll tell you your peak value.
If I die tomorrow with everything I love in some, hold my name up high. Take care of my kids and everyone I love, something to remember me by.
So as you can see by this is peaking at negative 2.2. This is peaking at 16.3. Should we have a volume
Would that be
difference? Let's match this.
control on PC?
Um,
Like how you were saying.
that's
Command.
right. I'm trying to remember what it would be on PC. I think Command. because we have it's called Command, but it's also Apple. Um, Maybe it might be Control on PC. I haven't used a PC in like 15 years. Um, Maybe we can look it up here. Keys found. Oops. Mechanism equivalent. Oh, you're right. It's the Control key. It's the
Okay.
Control key. That's the
So you
Apple key.
just hover over it and push control?
Yep. Yeah, you just hit this, hit Control, and then click on it, and that'll tell you that's your peak amount. This one is delay for delay compensation, but you don't really need to worry about that too much. But yeah, that'll tell you your peak amount. So actually, let's go.
If I die tomorrow with everything I love and
Way too
some.
Definitely want to go back to normal.
If I die tomorrow with everything I love and some.
So that's plus 12. All right, so we'll go back again. Let's reset those.
If I die tomorrow with everything I love and some, hold my name up high. Take care of my kids and everyone I love, something to remember me by, yeah.
So we'll cut this down about 2.
If I die tomorrow with everything I love and some, hold my name up high. Take care of my kids and everyone I love, something to remember me by, yeah. Something to remember me by. Something to remember me by.
You kind of hear where it got lost right there.
Something to remember me by.
And then here.
Something to remember me by.
So it kind of keeps it up where it needs to be right there.
Mm-hmm.
Something to remember me by. Something to remember me by.
Yeah. So it's kind of the same because things were kind of baked into it. We didn't really do that much. And you can, if you wanted a little bit more higher end, you could, but I kind of liked where it's sitting before.
If I die tomorrow with everything I love and some, hold my name up high. Take care of my kids and everyone I love.
And if you want to do that too, if you highlight or put your cursor on both tracks, and then you can hit Shift and S, and that'll kind of switch the solo back and forth.
If I die tomorrow with everything I love and some, hold my name up high. Take care of my kids and everyone I love, something to remember me by, yeah. Something to remember me by. Something to remember me by. Something to remember me by, yeah.
Yeah, I was doing pretty heavy compression on
Everything I love and some, hold my name up high. Take care of my kids and everyone I love, something to remember me by, yeah. Something to remember me by. If I die tomorrow, thing I love and some, hold my name up high. Take care of my kids and everyone I love, something to remember me by, yeah. Something to remember me by. Something to remember me by. Something to remember me by, yeah.
Throw that verb in there.
If I die tomorrow with everything I love and some, hold my name up high. Take care of my kids and everyone I love, something to remember me by, yeah. Something to remember me by. Something to remember me by. Something to remember me by, yeah.
So anyway, I guess we kind of leave it at that for now, but
That's big difference.
yeah, and it's not even like this huge one, but those subtle difference is what makes up the big difference between kind of like a professional and a little bit more of a amateur sounding. But yeah, it's important to do those little things to really get it out. All right, and I'll I'll go ahead and send you a copy of this session so you can pull up the stuff that we did and kind of see how that worked.
Okay.
Again, I did pretty small moves because some of it was already done here. So I kind of kept it just a little bit here and a little bit there to match what was already done.
Okay. Oh, and then what was this plugin up here? You like put the one into. Um, it was like you put the plug into another one on there like that. I never seen it before. It's on the main one that you were
Um,
doing.
are you talking about this
The
one?
the second to last one on the audio two, the BC something.
Oh yeah, that's something that I use to kind of pull up some of this stuff. You can do, you don't need it. It's just kind of cool. I use it a lot to pull up different things in the same plugin.
Yeah.
So like I have both of those. So like sometimes I'll use the Pro MB and the Pro DS in kind of conjunction because this is essentially just compressing high end. So I'll do a little bit of it on there and a little bit more on there. But you don't really need this. It's called Blue Cat's Patchwork. You can put like a bunch of different plugins on it. You can use it parallel with this mix knob, stuff like that. I'll use it to do my side chains and stuff. But you don't really need what that one as long as you have
Is that
these
kind
that
of
pull
like
up
the?
fine.
Is it kind of like the? I think it's called Studio Rack and Waves or something. Something
Very
rack.
similar, yeah, yeah. And so you can add a bunch of different stuff. But you could do whatever you want. Like, let's say I just want to add just a random type of thing on there. Let's see what we
And I was
got.
just wondering because like when I open it, if that's not gonna be there, like I won't be able to.
Oh, oh, you present a good point, actually. My bad. Because with the Fab Filter ones I have, they don't seem to work um, without it, where yours might. Like, if we go Fab
So I just look for the plugin.
search,
The blue patch you said.
like Pro MB. Yeah, it doesn't quite do it. But what you can do in that situation is just kind of pause it